used when I first started in newborn photography, and what I think is important for people who are just starting to have or to get if they're interested in being a newborn photographer. So let's get on with the video. The first thing you need when you are first starting with newborn photography is education. Invest in going to some classes, online classes, on-hands classes. Just make sure that you are aware of even the little dangers that there is when it comes to newborn photography, hand placement, safety when posing, all those things and things to look out for when you're wrapping. Make sure you're not wrapping too tight. All that's really, really important. So that's my number one thing that you need for when you want to become a newborn photographer and just get into the business. The second thing is obviously a camera. Now, you can do a lot of research on cameras and figure out what you think will work best for you. But what I started with was the Nikon D5500 and the Nikon 50mm lens, the 1.8. I used it for probably 3 years, and it was a great first camera. So if you're looking into getting started in photography and you don't have a camera yet, this is a great camera to start with. And the lens isn't very expensive, so it's something that is affordable for when you first start, to get your hands on it, to learn how to use it, and make sure you can use it in manual mode before you get started with newborn photography. Make sure you know your camera. So that is the second thing. And then when it comes to actually photographing newborns, so everybody does things a little bit differently. I use natural light and studio light. So when you're first starting, obviously natural light is the way to go because it's right there, it's convenient, it's already accessible to you, it's not as big of a variable when you shoot at the same time of day, and so you can learn where your shadows need to fall on the baby's face and where to pose, all those great things. So lighting, you can just use natural light, so that is number 3. And then for me, I started out doing more of like prop poses, so in buckets and things like that. And when I first started, I went to Hobby Lobby, I went to all kinds of places to find buckets, even garage sales, antique sales, flea markets. All those places are great places to find props for babies. One rule of thumb to use when you're looking for props is from the tip of your finger to your elbow is how long the bucket needs to be if you're laying baby flat. So let's say this bucket right here I bought online, but there are similar ones like this at Hobby Lobby, even longer and thinner, like on the not as wide. But if you put your elbow to it, and it is almost exactly for me from elbow to fingertip, this is a perfect width to put baby in because it'll fit nicely in here, a newborn that is. So bigger babies won't really fit very well in here, but it's a great kind of guideline to go by. So prop wise, this is like a bowl like this is something really great to have because you can lay it down, lay baby in it, and they're pretty sturdy and safe. They're not going to go anywhere. So if you're worried about it's just you and you don't have a second shooter, this is a great prop to get started with. And then along with that, this bucket right here. So this is like when you want to do head on hands or even wrap and then have them laying kind of back. This is a great starter prop too. This was actually from Home Depot, so if you have a Home Depot locally, you can go get one. And then I have another one that I painted white, so they're about, I think I spent $30 on this, which is kind of expensive, but I didn't have to ship it. I had it that day, and it was perfect for what I was needing it for. And then same thing with this, so it's deep enough to where baby's going to fit in it and not completely sink, but you can always add layers, but it's not so short that baby's going to be leaning forward. One thing with this is you want to make sure that you look over it, make sure there's no pieces of wood sticking out. You can sand it down, have lots of protection for baby in here anyways when you place them, but this is a great starter prop and it's $30, so you know, if you're looking to try something new, you can always wrap something around it to change it, but it's a great size bucket. And then you're going to need something to wrap baby in if you want to do wrapped poses. So for me, when I first started, I looked on Amazon, and I'll try to leave a link down below on the ones that I bought, but they have different colors, different textures, and when I first started, I used the same type of wrap because I got used to it. I figured out how I like to wrap with it, and I could change the colors. If you wanted to buy a white one and dye it, you could do that too. But the ones that I started out with were just like this. So they're that cheesecloth material, but actually meant for newborn photography. And when I first started, what I would do was I'd buy a girl one and a boy one whenever I had the money to purchase new things, and then I would buy neutral. So you grow your collection pretty fast like that. And these, I want to say, ran about $15 a piece, maybe $12. depending on the vendor that you went with, but they are a great starting point when it comes to wrapping. Now when you get further along and you want to invest in a little bit more, there are better wraps out there that are give you a different look to your pictures, but these are a great start. So we'll put that to the side. And then layers. So what you want to lay baby on, if they are in a bucket or a prop or anything like that. And what I used when I first started was little square fake fur, and I don't have any here with me today, but you can go to Hobby Lobby and get 1 yard and then cut it up and then pose baby on top of it, put it in a bucket, pose baby in it. But this is what I use now, and these are called bump blankets or bump layer blankets. I bought this one on online through a boutique who sells props and blankets, all those things, beanbag posing, all of that. And these run about $20 to $25 depending on where you're getting it from and the quality and the size, but they're well worth the investment because you can even use them for sitters when you grow into that or want to do that kind of photography along with newborns. But they also give you good thick place to lay baby's hands for head-on hands, so this is a great prop to start with. It's a little bit pricey, but if you get like a neutral like this, you can use it for boys and girls, and it goes with any set, outdoor, indoors, so that's a good place to start. Let's see. Oh, beanbag. So you're going to need a beanbag or something to pose baby on. What I started with was one of those foot poofs from a Ross. I found it. It was square. It was just big enough for just one baby, so you couldn't do twins or anything like that on it. But it was a great investment. I spent $20 on it, and I used it for, I want to believe, a full year before I invested in the full-size newborn beanbag. But to go on top of the beanbag, you're going to need a fabric. When I first started, I went to Hobby Lobby. A lot of Hobby Lobby trips, but this is what I invested in. So I have probably 3 or 4 different colors of this fabric, and it photographs beautifully. It's pretty thick, but it's also like thin enough to stretch. So you want something that has more than one way of stretch. So it stretches this way, and then when you turn it this way, it stretches this way, so that you can get it really nice and tight around the beanbag, and clipping it to whatever you're clipping it to, whether it be a table, what are those called? A curtain rod that you've mounted onto the wall, whatever you're going to use it for. That way you can get it super tight, there's no creasing or anything like that. But this is probably, I would say at least get 2.5 yards. That gives you plenty to work with and move around and make tight, and then as you get better you can even cut a little bit of it off, and then you have a matching wrap. So that is the next thing that you'll need when you first start. And then you'll need posing beans. Well, posing beans or something to put under baby to prop them up so that they're not facing down away from you. What I started with, I found on Amazon, and I cannot remember how much it cost, but I'll leave it linked in the description if I can find it. And that was these little beans. So they're soft and squishy. They're not the perfect ideal type of bean that you want because they're almost too squishy, so baby moves around a lot and they slide around a lot. But I still use them today, and they're awesome. You can wipe them clean if they get stained. You know it's okay because they go under the blanket so no one sees them. But they come in different sizes. So you have the bigger one all the way down to one that's about this big, and they come in a set. So this is a really good investment for whenever you're first starting. You can even put it in the bowls to prop baby up higher, or to cushion them if they need something under their bum. So that is a great place to start too. And then I also used a bobby pillow, and I have one right here. And these are great when you're first starting because you can find them anywhere. Walmart sells them, I believe Target sells them, and then you can, for let's say like head on hands on a beanbag, you slide this under all of your little layers that you have, and then you put baby in the hole, and then their body's coming over the top with their head on their hands, and then they don't have as much room to move around because it's quite a wide surface. And I think when I first started, I only used this for about 6 months, and then I moved to the beans because I found them online. But this was a great thing to have, and then I just used a cover over it so I could take it off and I could wash it and then move on to the next thing that I needed to move on to. And that was a great investment also. And then what else? Oh, outfits. So if you're wanting to start out and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do just wrapped, which is what I started out. I just did a lot of wrapped and posing on buckets and things like that. You can start out looking on Amazon, just type in newborn photography outfits and you will find quite a few. Now, not all of them are perfect and you'll have to adjust the sizing and things like that to each baby, but once you get a good one, it's awesome. They photograph pretty, they have nice texture to them, and then you can always upgrade as you get better and as you learn and as you get more confident in posing, then you can invest more. When I first started, I just bought a bunch of jumbo pack different color bows on Amazon. Same thing with the hats on Amazon. They have little bonnets. They're still really, and I still use some of them today. So those are good investments to have, and you can always change the color in Photoshop once you get a little bit more advanced with your editing. And then that brings me to my last thing that you're going to need, and you're going to need an editing software. So whether you want to start out just online with like PicMonkey or Canva, anything like that, anywhere is a good place to start. Just start learning now and investing time in growing and figuring out exactly how you want to edit and be unique to you. I suggest Lightroom because yes, it's hard at first because you're learning all of the tools and the buttons, but once you figure it out, it's super easy. You can batch edit all of your photos really quickly when it comes to coloring, white balance, all of those great things. And whenever you figure out Lightroom, then you can move on to Photoshop. Thank you guys so much for watching, and those are the things that I think are important when you first start out in photography. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And what do you want to see next? What do you want me to film next? A behind the scenes, what's in my camera bag, what gear do I use for filming, anything like that. Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe so you don't miss any of my updated videos, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.